Liveception. Hi back to Hastings. Ben. Oh yeah. I have no idea if I'm gonna get that many viewers, but I'll be here. I should check if my audio is working, I guess. It is. So, time right now is 12:36 Texas time. And I know with daylight savings time that is either 6:36 or 5:36 in the UK. I used to have an app on my phone that would show me multiple time zones at once, because I do Gish, which used to be Gish Wes every year, and some of my teammates are in the UK, so we'd have to arrange things for time zone. How long does it take for lives to get going? I've done a couple of lives before, but I never had anyone viewing it because I only had 23, 24 subscribers at the time. Oh, 6:36, yeah, okay. Where did my thing go? Oh, there it is. I'm concerned I'm a little too far back from my laptop, which is behind the camera by about a foot and a half, to see this properly. I did try to time this. My kids are actually home, even though it's a Wednesday. They had President's Day off, and then it's 2 teacher learning days. So Ben is brain cyst. John is actually, he was in the kitchen making fairy bread. We don't usually do that here. We have cinnamon toast. So you make toast, butter it, and put on cinnamon and sugar. Hi, Barry. Yeah, cinnamon toast is a pretty common snack around here, but not fairy bread. And he heard about that from videos. I'm jeans on. And I know you're in the US, so you'll probably be over here later. Back to fairy bread, right? John wants me to try it at some point. My mother lived in Australia, in a very teeny tiny little village in the middle of nowhere, for a couple of years when she was about John's age. And that would be in the mid to late 70s. And she never came into contact with fairy bread. So it may have just not been popular in her region. I don't know. But he's in there giving it a try. And I've seen stuff on this. Apparently it's popular in Australia and New Zealand, and not so much in the UK, but take bread and you butter it, and then you put on a whole bunch of hundreds and thousands, here, sprinkles. Some places they call them jimmies. But it's the middle of the day and try getting a 12-year-old for lunch. Forgive coughing. This is stuff I normally edit out. I have some issues. Birth defects, not fun, and also not something a lot of folks jumping in here from the attempted Chip Buddy video have any knowledge of, because it wasn't mentioned. Tyson? There's a very little dog poking his nose under my door. I'm half expecting a report from John on how the ferry went. And Google is trying to tell me repeatedly that an unknown device, which is totally known, has signed in to my account. It's my laptop. I suppose when I don't use it for weeks at a time, it's going to do that. You did hear something about cinnamon toast. That's pretty common in my area. You make toast, you butter the toast, you put cinnamon and sugar on it. I grew up with that, and also, just peanut butter spread on bread. But John's in the kitchen, or he was, making fairy bread, which is a Aussie and New Zealand thing. And I was mentioning that though my mom was in Australia for a while, that was not common in her area. Also, looks like my connection is pretty bad right now. So if that drops, that's because we live way outside of town and we have a wireless connection, and the weather's not great. So it was, and I'm going to do a quick Google for you. It was 84 degrees yesterday, which would be roughly 29 degrees Celsius. And then today, the warmest it's supposed to get is 37, which is about 3 degrees. So yesterday, I was running around in one of my thinnest t-shirts, and today I'm all bulked up and I don't want to go anywhere. Christine, hi back to Liverpool. Today I'm all bulked up and I don't want to go anywhere. Christine, hi back to Liverpool. It's hot chocolate weather. I've been so close to caught up on my backlog, but then after in the last couple of days, anytime I try to go and edit, my hands have been shaking too much to get the volume adjusted where I want it in my editing software. So I haven't been editing. I'm not entirely sure why that is. So I'm getting behind. Tennessee. So it's always warmer there than it is here. Central Texas has got some very volatile weather, but we do have a running joke. If you don't like to. Well, this is really fun. I'm really enjoying having everybody coming into the live with me. I wasn't sure I'd get anybody in here, but it's different when you actually have folks have viewers. Yeah. I think I tried to do a live as practice for church stuff since we've been trying to do YouTube lives for our church services so that a whole bunch of people can see them and stay home. Red Rex, hello, back to Kent. I feel like I should know where more of these places are, but I don't. I really don't have an excuse either. I mean, the space is smaller than Texas, and I can go. I know where the Permian Basin and Dallas and Houston and Austin and San Antonio and Corpus are. I'm gonna look on a map. Map real quick. Kent, England. I know somebody said from Liverpool too. I see Kent Downs. Over southeast of London. Oh, Liverpool's very obvious over there near Manchester. That's neat. Southeast of London. Okay, so it is the right spot. Cool. So a couple of years ago, I had been doing I had been doing a Gish challenge, and something was in England, roughly 40 miles from London, and I asked a teammate who lived in just outside London if she was close enough to go do it. She was like, no, it's 40 miles. And I had to remind myself, traffic is very different there than it is here. 40 miles here is nothing. Austin is 40 miles. I can be there in half an hour. Hi, Ian. Southampton. I'll have to look that up. It is coming up on 1 p.m. So the way I usually gauge it is when it's breakfast time here, or 6 a.m., it's lunchtime there. When it's lunchtime here, it's dinner time there. 6 hours. It's cold here today. Okay, let's see. Southampton. Awesome. Okay, I can see that on my map. You can't really see my screen very well on here. It's just washed out. But I'm looking these places up. Let me see if anyone else said in the chat previously where they are. Because this is fun. Isle of Wight. I've heard a song regarding the Isle of Wight in it was a Renaissance festival. Someone was singing about there were 3 drunken ladies came from the Isle of Wight, and from there it just got raunchier and raunchier, but I was amused. Oh, so the folks in Southampton and Kent are not very far from the Isle of Wight. Oh, okay, I've zoomed in, and it says Isle of Wight, area of outstanding natural beauty. I feel like we're really slacking with the names of our national parks. Some of them. I mean, we have Big Bend and you have Big Ben, so those two are nothing at all the same. Giant clock, giant, very much desert park. Oh, Wolverhampton. I gotta look that up. Oh, and hello back, Mick. Okay. Wolverhampton. Okay. Oh, that's up north, huh? Near Birmingham. I can't recall if you same commenter someone had said something about HP sauce and Birmingham, and I had commented back that my grandparents are actually from a different Birmingham in Alabama. That's my mom's parents. The name of the bell, not the tower. That is interesting. That is interesting. I thought it was the name of the clock, because every time you see an image of it, of course, the clock face is the thing that you see. But Big Bend is, I believe, it's named after the bend in the river of the Rio Grande. I do a lot of smiling most of the time, because despite having, we're going to use a substitute D word to get around the platform issues, despite having diagnosed major down feeling disorder, I'm actually an optimist. So, 40 miles will take you to the next county. Well, we do have counties here as well, and Austin is in another county. Waco is a couple of counties up I-35. Ooh, an hour and 30 minutes. Hour and 30 minutes is occasionally what it takes to get from one end of Austin to the other. And I guess that could be true in the very middle of Houston or DFW. Yeah, the traffic, the roads, the whole system is very different here. And I think it's because when they started building them, they had a lot more space available to make them wide, make long stretches. Driving on the freeway is so much fun. I really enjoy driving. Then as far as finding that song, I believe that song is sung by, it's a very little known group called Iris and Rose, and I believe the album is Wild and Thorny. You might be able to find it on YouTube, possibly. They would travel around to different Renaissance festivals, and they were famous for their body songs, tavern songs. And they took a friend of mine and her sister under their wing, and my friend and her sister are a new group who have taken on a few of those songs, and their act is called Opal and Jade, Off-Color Treasures. Oh yeah, anytime. It just remember that's not for kids. I am going to stand up for a moment and ask John for a report on his fairy bread and see how he liked that. Hey, John? Yeah? How'd it go with the fairy bread? Delicious. Okay. I don't think that's a thing that they do. Okay, well, I'm still running live. Okay, John has reported back on the fairy bread. We have still not gotten around to recording a beans on toast video. I think I have some ways where I could possibly mangle that and get told in the comments. Because every time someone's like, "You're doing it wrong," that still kind of feeds the algorithm. I don't want to mess it up too much because I want to try the food, but at the same time, that the majority of the comments have been, "You're doing it wrong." Well, John has been making a crack that he wants bread with Vegemite rather than butter. I don't think that's not. Why would you just take two things that people like and ruin them by putting them together? If I get the supplies, I don't think I'll be able to stop him though. So I had an idea of coming up with some questions that I have about how things are different or how things work, but I did not get around to making that list. Almost as bad as Marmite. I've heard that Marmite is really, really bad. Of course, I've heard that directly from my mom, who did try it while she was in Australia. And she said it was beer garbage, and to this day she does not like beer. Red Rocks. Congratulations on your chip, buddy. You did really well. I did like it. I have had it continuing to use Whataburger fries because that is the most potato-y in my area. I've had some comments confusing those fries with shoestring, but these are not crunchy. As far as I'm aware, a shoestring is incredibly thin, almost papery. It's supposed to be crunchy, like eating crisps, and these are not like that. These are very potato-y, but I do want to try with maybe some potato wedges or some steak fries, or eventually I'll actually shell out the amount needed and go and get a proper fish and chips. It's there, an English pub that's named after a fort that used to be in the area from back when the state was being settled. I do not have a P.O. box currently. I had one in the past years before making this channel, so I know it wouldn't be difficult to set up. And yeah, I am considering doing that, especially because this keeps coming up. We have so when I've been getting these things, I've been going to HEB, which is the absolute best grocery store in Texas. It doubles as FEMA for when FEMA not keeping up with the need within a natural disaster. They'll send truckloads of people and supplies to places when we've had serious problems. And they have the best international options in my area. Yeah, come on in. Okay, I'm doing a live.
I found the thing and then
Do you want to just text it to me?
yes. Also killed the apple juice.
I did see the empty jug in there. Yes, thank you. That was. I thought that was going to be John. That was Bruce. Bruce is very private lately. Marmite. I have yet to try either Marmite or Vegemite. I am open to either. I was saying HEB's got the best non-Mexican international selections in my area, and it's still very, very small, because most of what you'll find here is going to be Mexican, German, and Japanese food, and sometimes Chinese food, and they keep kosher stuff in the international stuff as well. Connection issues, evidently. There we go. Okay. We do have a different store here called World Market. It's much more expensive, but they have a lot of stuff. And Japanese food. Oh, there we go. Maybe. Okay. I think that's better. Okay. So pretty much all the HEBs in my area have fresh sushi that they make daily. Being close to the Gulf and also decent shipping and refrigeration. It's not quite restaurant quality, but it's really nice for a quick snack. We also, it reflects a lot of what we have as far as restaurants in the area. I know the German thing kind of stands out, but a lot of the early Central Texas were German, so it's kind of carried through. But World Market is a different store. I've seen Spotted Dick there. I've gotten a Christmas pudding there in the past, and my favorite food. Oh, that's hard to know. I used to say it was pork chops, but that was mostly just to get. I'm not sure that I really have one currently. I really enjoy enchiladas. Enchiladas have just it's like a meaty, cheesy filling, and then there's this corn tortilla wrapped around it, and it's smothered in sauce, and it's like warm and gooey and full of flavor. So I really enjoy that. Mince pies. I don't think I've had mince pies, although I do see mincemeat in jars on the shelf in the holiday baking stuff that's set out every year. This is so funny. My internet connection gets really bad when I've actually got something to say, and then it clears up and it's going well, and then I run out of things that I'm trying to say. Mince pies. Okay, I'm convinced I'll have to try one at some point. If I remember my historical fiction correctly, that's fruit in a sort of meat gel, right? Oh. Yeah, preparation. I went and pinned a comment. on the Chip Buddy video shortly before getting into this. Because I am getting a lot of comments of why don't you just make chips at home? Make some bread. I challenge you to make bread and chips at home and do this correctly. And it's like, friend, do both your hands work? Because I got a little bit back and forth there, and with my birth defects, my spine is actually not straight. It comes over in a curve this way, and those bones are fused, and too much work of my arms, I wind up with chronic pain flares, and I can't do squat. So when I cook, it's usually with stuff that's already been shopped at the store, or I have to have my kids help me, and that can be a hit or miss. So that's why my mom does a lot of the cooking. That's also why we use a lot of disposable products, and we're murdering the planet with that, because if I've got to help out because she's got an evening class or something, then I'd rather just wash the pots and pans and be done and rest. So it's like, just murder the planet a little. We'll waste a lot of money on disposables, but it keeps the kitchen a little bit more clean. So that's me rambling about my problem. So I was shaking a jug of juice the other day, and I realized that I may have to recruit a couple of my big, strong helpers to help me shake juice jugs. Because I've also figured out there's a classy way, there's a farmer's market way of explaining what I'm doing, which is I'm experimenting with different methods of making homemade organic apple wine. And the trailer park version of that exact same thing is I got a jug of hooch brewing in the closet. I was very amused by this. I think I can ask my 12-year-old to do this. Here, I put the cap on, shake this for like a solid 2 minutes. What is it? It's booze, but it's not booze yet. So, at some point I want to try making I need to, or at least I feel I need to try making some ciders first. I have my fingers crossed. I actually have one, it's a single quart bottle of pear juice, and I added just some wine yeast and some brown, and I'm hoping that'll turn into a really tasty wine. But this is, this sounded like a really good hobby for me because I like to just jump into things, and then I forget about them for a long time. And then I get really interested again. So that should be pretty much perfect for exactly this activity, because you can do a whole lot of one thing at once, and then you can just check on it once a day, see if those bubbles are still going, and then get back into it in like a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months, and then you can forget about it again for a while, and then you have tasty grown-up drinks. Yes, I don't have a dishwasher. Rather drink vinegar. Did your wine turn into vinegar? I've heard that can happen, especially if you shake it up too much after it's in the secondary fermenter, the carboy. Yeah, I found some very helpful folks who DIY fermentation, I think, is one of the channels, and city steading brews or something like that. Oh, kind of struck the hull of a boat. Okay. Don't feel too bad. We have a couple of wineries in my town. There's a region, the Llano Estacado region over near Llano, which is spelled the same and said differently because we anglicize our pronunciations. Nobody knows the song Amarillo by Morning, but we have a spot where grapes grow really good. And we have a few spots. I believe their grapes come from Rockdale here for this winery, though. And they have some absolutely delightful stuff. But one of the things that I tried while we were trying out wines in preparation for my brother's wedding was an ice wine. They told me it was a dessert wine, and so like have that on my sample flight. They give you 3 wine tastings, and I tried this stuff, and it was an exact replacement for nail polish remover. Every woman who's had nail polish on their hands has accidentally tasted some remover at some point. It was exactly like that. Rhubarb and gooseberry. I have never messed with anything with rhubarb. Never come into contact with stuff except for when and the neighbor who the neighbor's son she paid to mow the lawn kept mowing over it, and she gave up. I'm not even entirely sure what a gooseberry is. I do know what lingonberries are, but that's just because I spend too much time in IKEA. I am looking for different options, though, because I've come to the conclusion that it's not that I don't like wine, it's that I don't like wine made from grapes. And pretty much all wines are made from grapes. So, fruit wines, meads, melomels, that's what I'm up to. I've heard, what is it? There's a nursery rhyme about gooseberries or gooseberry pie, something like that. That's pretty much the extent of my knowledge of it. Lupin 3. Lupin the Third. Ceiling rare wine. I don't know what that is. I'm sure you're going to tell me all about what Lupin 3 or Lupin the Third is. All I know is Lupins is what John Cleese was stealing. Hand over all your Lupins, Monty Python. Thomas More, I think it was. As far as I know, any wine can turn into vinegar if you ruin it, either on purpose or accident. Elderberries. There's elderberry products available in my area, but it's not very prevalent. No, we got like 5 different ways of getting salt. It's a regional thing. Sangria is my understanding is you chop up fruit and add it to wine. Not a big fan of sangria, even though I like really strong sweet flavors. And I'm sure that Lana Lang over here is gonna, Lex Luthor, is gonna tell me all about Lupin later. A French thief. Okay. I've noticed there's several animes that seem to be interestingly fixated in France. I'm not sure why that is. So at some point, John and I are supposed to do a old school video game frog, because I've got a little fake Atari that has that built in, and I have not yet been able to figure out how to get that to work as a live. And that was John loudly proclaiming that he wants chicken nuggets. Evidently, that's all he wanted to say. My plan had been to use OBS software, because that's a good way to do picture-in-picture. but I'm not sure that my laptop is capable of running it. I've been trying to do that with The Sims several years ago on a heftier PC, but it was running slow. It was getting weird. Proper British cabinet to go with it. Well, here's the problem with that. Well, I usually use 2 tea bags. My connection. Okay, my connection issues. Okay, so I usually use 2 tea bags. The teas available here are going to be different. I would probably have to go get the tea from World Market, although we do have some PG Tips, which I believe is an Irish brand. Have that in the kitchen right now. I think we've got some HEB brand, which is a Texas company. The pretty much anything I do online, I'm gonna have a million people ripping it apart, telling you did it wrong. That's not how. I even have one person in there saying you can't put sugar in tea because it ruins the taste. I'm like, so many people drink it with sugar. That's not even remotely believable. But what I absolutely can do, I can explain why iced tea is a thing in the southern U.S. The reason iced tea is a thing in the southern U.S. I've never seen Yorkshire tea here. Not in HEB, not in Walmart, not in Albertsons. The reason for iced tea is that through the majority of the year, it is hotter than Satan's left armpit, and that is why we apply ice to it. Looks like it's going correctly now. Okay. So in my experience, and this is very easy to do, is take a big apparently it is time to get the P.O. box where you get a big glass gallon container, and they even make these with a spigot close to the bottom, and you fill it up with just plain water, preferably something filtered if you live in an area with really bad tap water like we do. And you add about 4 of these extra large tea bags. It's black tea. It's formulated so that you don't have to heat it up too much. And you put the cap on and you set it out on the front porch for about 3 hours. And it turns into it's mild, but it's not flavorless. It's smooth and easygoing. A lot of people like to add peach to it or mint, and once it's done brewing, you pour that over ice, and it's just delightful. I believe classic sweet tea, you want to add way too much sugar, and then you're fine. It's just get to where you like it, and then add some more. I prefer mine half sweet, so nowhere near that much. But in the middle of summer, it's so good. Mint is tricky. When you can't get it to get cold enough, and you feel like you're about to keel over because it's 105 in the shade, mint adds a menthol to it that makes it feel colder, and that's what helps. But we're all about managing the heat here, so we do what we can. Close. Lipton is a brand my mom used throughout my childhood. However, we've switched over to Louisiana because that is specifically blended for iced tea, and it's a little less bitter. But Lipton is great if that's what you got. Apple and mint. That does sound tasty. I was looking at somebody had some instructions on how to brew a mint wine, and I was thinking about it because I can't recall which breed of mint we've got, but we have a whole bunch of mint that grows up around our front steps like weeds. That stuff just takes over. It's not growing much right now because the weather recently had frozen off a bunch of it, but I could see harvesting some, drying it, doing it right. So I think I've done that in the past for mint tea, but yeah, I haven't tried to booze it up. Ooh, 123. Been at this for nearly an hour. At some point I have to go run some laundry because I spilled. I had a jug that I was trying to make apple cider in, and it overflowed with the yeast. Almost. It's 49 minutes and counting. And it had overflowed onto this blanket I had set down in the bottom of my closet. And yes, Lex Luthor, mint wine, that's a thing. And witchcraft, maybe, because what witchcraft really boils down to was a bunch of, grumpy people, burning herbalists. Rude. But anyway, I've got apple yeasty mess on this blanket. I need to wash it. It is 1:24 p.m. Or what side of daylight savings time are we on right now? We that's right. We haven't sprung ahead yet for this year. I'm of the mind we need to stop doing daylight savings time. Just switch your hours. Call it a day. It's baloney. Do they do daylight savings time over there? I only know that we do it here, and I know that Arizona doesn't count. Because I guess they don't do it in Arizona. My dad used to live in Arizona as a kid. He lived on a ranch. They had horses. Does it line up with ours? I suppose it makes sense for major economies that are linked up. To all be on the same page where time is concerned, especially with shipping back and forth and that sort of thing. It makes sense, but so many people that spring forward is so many people during that time. It's so dangerous, and if you adjust your schedule slightly in like 15-minute increments for the 4 weeks leading up to it, you're much safer, or at least that's what I've heard from folks in the medical community. But that is so much stress. I can barely see the text on my screen over here. I keep looking at my phone. So I'll get that blanket to wash. My kids think that they need chicken nuggets, but I don't think so. Call OZ. Is there a high call? Or kernel ounce, I guess. America is much wider than most of Europe and Atlantic. Yes, it is much wider. You're from Australia? That's funny because I was just talking about fairy bread a little while ago. My son wants me to try fairy bread. Oh, the OZ. Gotcha. Okay. Phonetically Aussie. Got it. That's right. Time zones are so much fun. Colin from Australia. Okay, well, hello to Colin from Australia. My 12-year-old was just eating some fairy bread a little while ago. He wants me to try it. English urgently. Oh, did it stop? Is it going? Oh, there we are. I'm trying here. I'm going to go ahead and end this because I think my signal here, I really appreciate everybody coming in to hang out today. And I will catch you guys another time. And of course, I'm going to be mindful that noon here is probably the best time for there. Might even be able to do a like a live stream react when we do the beans on toast video or something like that. That'd be really cool. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Hi.